As I sat in the auditorium of the Royal Armouries in Leeds at the Institute of Demolition Engineers spring seminar on Friday last week, I was blissfully unaware of the meeting that was taking place at the White House between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and US President Donald Trump. I was seated in the front row, maybe 15 feet from the Institute of Demolition Engineers President Adrian McLean. He was sat alone at the top table on the stage. He opened the meeting by describing the delegates as the soul, the hearts, and the minds of the industry. He gave awards to those that had demonstrated their passion for and their commitment to the demolition industry. He shed a tear when he bestowed a posthumous IDE fellowship on his friend Angus Holdsworth, who tragically passed away late last year. He beamed with pride when his son Cormac took part in a joint presentation. And when one of the presenters was temporarily overcome with emotion, Adrian McLean consoled him. Adrian McLean was centre stage, but it was patently clear that this was not about him at all. It was about the IDE members and about the betterment of the wider demolition industry. So compare and contrast that with the manner in which Donald Trump berated and attempted to belittle the beleaguered, battle-weary, but dignified Ukrainian president. Now, to be very clear, this is not a political statement. I'm English. I have no say in US politics whatsoever. I'm talking purely about how two men in high office comport themselves. And what Trump did to Zelenskyy was nothing more than a villainous and performative ambush staged purely for the cameras. I'm sure that previous meetings between presidents and other world leaders have been heated at times. Global politics is a high-stakes game, particularly at a time of war, and everyone is determined to safeguard their own nation's interests. But this was deliberately and strategically held in the full gaze of the media, purely to show Trump as the tough guy he so desperately wants to be. He accomplished the opposite. He came across as a petty-minded bully, while his vice president proved himself to be a world-class sycophant of the highest order. Now, I'm going to say it again. This is not political. Should the US be the world police? Maybe, maybe not. Should the US be helping to fund a war that has already claimed thousands of lives? Again, maybe, maybe not. Those are questions for people far, far smarter than me. But verbally berating a man who has stood against the Goliath-like might of an aggressive and warmongering neighbour is the equivalent of kicking a man when he's down. Even by Trump's already low moral benchmark, this was a new low. Proper leaders guide, inspire, and influence others towards a shared vision. They embody traits like integrity and empathy. Leaders not only set the direction, but they also foster collaboration and empower those around them. True leaders recognize that they are not the main character, that they exist purely to represent their people. Now, I realize that the role of president of a trade institute and the head of the US are markedly different jobs requiring markedly different skills. But both roles are held by human beings. The difference is that one of them is human, while the other is demonstrably inhuman. And there's another difference between Adrian McLean and Donald Trump, one that marks one as presidential and the other as unworthy of the title. Donald Trump's message to Volodymyr Zelenskyy will, I'm sure, go down a storm among his rabid MAGA fan base and among the American right-wing media that now seemingly exists purely to do his bidding. Meanwhile, the other half of America will be feeling shame at Trump's actions in their name. When Trump's ambush of Zelenskyy was over, he had merely caused further division in an already divided country and an already divided world. When Adrian McLean closed the IDE meeting in Leeds, he did so to a membership and an industry united. To me, that's the mark of a true leader.